Janette Thornley in with me. Very cool to have you in with me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here again. And I'm sure some of my friends here tuning in will be excited to ask questions and to see why you do this crazy thing that you do. One of the things we were talking about was your name spelled Janette, right? My aunt is spelled Jean. We call her Jan or Janette, but my grandmother was from Australia, so I think that's part of the difference in spelling. So anyway, so yes, how are you tonight?
Very well. It's Monday. It's been a challenging Monday, but I'm always blessed when I'm 6 feet above ground, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And I was a little worried whenever our camera wasn't working here just a minute ago. I was like, oh no, here we go. And he said that's kind of like par for the course for how the day's gone.
Yeah, in the whole race program last year, it's, we get geared up for, a launch or a big announcement or a change in direction, and, something kind of gets in the way. So
Yeah.
It was very fitting for the start of the show.
Well, that's right. You were going to have a big announcement today, but it didn't work out for whatever reason. So.
Well, we did have a big announcement, I guess, and that was that the debut will be postponed again.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the year of COVID. Everything seems to be postponed or delayed or put off. But here's a picture. You said this was from when? When was this?
Friday, actually. Friday, we ventured down to Darlington, South Carolina, to the drag strip, where I've been testing the Nitro methane-powered 150 cubic inch injected motorcycle.
All right. Nitromethane injected. Wow, that's cool. I see the, what do you call it, the wheelie bar out the back?
That's correct.
And,
yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. So how fast did you go in this particular run?
Well, it's a new bike, but I have been fortunate to be licensed to ride a Top Fuel Harley. And I obtained my license last year in November, and I ran a 696, I think, my first licensing pass, and I ran a 693 second licensing pass, and just shy of 200 miles per hour.
Okay, wow.
That's
So
crazy.
200 mile an hour on two wheels. Mm-hmm. So that's 100 mile an hour per wheel. No, not really, but that's still. But I mean, if you put it to the equivalent of a stock car of going like 400 mile an hour, if you think about it that way. There's no way. I seen them. I went down to the 4 wide, down at the in Charlotte, and
Z-Max.
Z-Max. And I saw those bikes, and I was like, those people are crazy. I'm just going to be straight up with you. Not that you're crazy, but I'm just saying there is no way you could get me doing that. I mean, I have a hard enough time on roller coasters, but there's just no way I would ever. If somebody said, here, you can go take a free pass on this bike and go 100 mile an hour. I'm like, no, it's only got two wheels. So, but
Why
yeah,
not? Come on.
Yeah, but props to you for doing that. So how in the world did you get into that? Like, what got your interest in these bikes?
Well, you want the long version or the short version?
Sure, we got all night.
Well, so I believe that the adrenaline junkie in me was born and bred. Although I was not raised by my father, he had a little bit of a wild side to him, which involved going fast. Unfortunately, I lost him when I was 6 years old to a tragic car accident. But, as I grew in age and my travels and career took me into different parts of the country, I was fortunate enough to meet up with some Harley Davidson motorcyclists and some of the dealers in the country that were involved in drag racing. Mm-hmm. And it was late 2010, I kind of started following the sport. One thing about me, I'm not really a follower. Not for any reason that I'm trying to be a rebel, but I don't know if it's, the way my mama brought me up or just because it was she and I for so many years that I'm just pretty independent. And when I see something I want or there's something I want to do, I just kind of do it. And so, my dealer folks, friends that I had met, I started again following drag racing. I really didn't follow it, NHRA or any of the racing that existed at the time, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool. And I was a street rider. I ride a street bike. I still do. And I should say, I just explored the possibilities. And next thing I know, I was enrolled in a school that was offered here in North Carolina, actually, down in Rockingham, Hawaii Racing Products. Mr. Johnny Vickers out of Wilkesboro, North Carolina, was offering classes pretty much every year. I think he did it for 2 or 3 years. And it was October of 2011 when I signed up and took the school to learn how to ride a nitromethane motorcycle.
Wow. So, gosh. So I guess your first time you did it, you were just like hooked, like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I think like with anything, learning something new can be exciting and terrifying at the same time. An all new experience and of smells. I mean, I didn't know what nitromethane, smelled like. And if you smell it, I guess it has a unique smell in the jug, but then as you burn it, it has a very distinct smell. And
burns your eyes too, right?
It can. Yeah. Yes, it can. So yeah, I mean, I found that at this point in my life, I was in a transitional point and found that being involved in drag racing was kind of heavy on my mind. And after I took the school and licensed to participate, I was fortunate enough to actually rent a bike from some other teams that were down there that weekend and compete. And I think there were 17 motorcycles that entered my class. I qualified number 15, but I was fortunate that I actually qualified because one person didn't. And the rest is kind of history, as they say. So.
Yeah, I would be that person that went half the speed of everybody else, probably. So right quick, I want to say happy birthday to Rachel Rodman. Her birthday was yesterday, and I don't know how old she is or how young. She's still pretty young. And also Sarah Baker, she had a birthday yesterday as well. And also Billy Buck called me or texted me as soon as I got here to the WAME studio. Check them out on WAMEradio.com. And thanks to Billy Buck for letting me use the studio.
Yes. Awesome people.
It's a great setup. How about the stage we got here? It's pretty awesome. And but he texted me and said that Larry Hedrick passed away. Must have happened today, this evening or something. Did you know Larry Hedrick? He used to own a NASCAR team back in the day, the old 41 car. Yeah. And then it was a dealership too, right up here. Hedrick Chevrolet, I think it was, or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that while it was like fresh news. And so, yes, we got a bunch of comments coming in. Scott Trevison's down in Florida. He says, hello from the World Center of Racing. Yes. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But Paul Rodriguez is at Port St. Lucie, Florida. Yeah, Scott's in Daytona. You know, he's actually near Ponce Inlet, right? Or De Leon Springs. Something like that. Well, he goes out of Ponce Inlet on his boat anyway. De Leon Springs. Linda Jinks is tuned in. Tracy Hamm. R.D. Ford, he's in, where did we decide? He's in New Hampshire, right? He says, hi, guys.
So. New Hampshire.
Yeah, he says, hi, guys from the north. Happy birthday, Rachel. Dickie Dennis he's up in Virginia. He's the professional fence climber now. He's the one that climbed a fence in 2014 at Richmond International Speedway. Or he climbed up there. Yes, that's his claim to fame, but it's very cool. I mean, he's got pictures of him hanging out on top of the fence with no shirt on, after maybe 1 or 2 beers. And he had one of those, hey, watch this moments. He's banned for life, pretty much. Suzette McGuire, she's in California, South California.
Southern California.
Southern, I don't know why I said South. You ever go to race out in Southern California, like Pomona? Pomona's out there.
We were out in Pomona in February, and I have raced at Sonoma.
Sonoma, okay.
Mm-hmm. We raced out there 2 or 3 years. 2 years.
2 years in Sonoma, all right.
I think
I've been out there.
Won both those events,
Circle
too.
tracks. Did you really?
Yeah,
Sweet.
we picked up a few trophies
All
along
right.
the way.
So how big are your trophies? I'm just out of curiosity. Are they like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen one. Okay, like that. Okay, that's cool. Heck yeah. All right, that gives you more. You have more room to put them around on shelves and stuff. Because if they're too big, it's just like annoying. All right. So anyway, let's see who else. Carolyn Troutman. She's here in Statesville. She says, "Hey guys," and Mike Bear. What's up, Mike? Chad Hyder's up in Ohio. Where does Mike live? I'm not sure about that. I probably should know by now. But what's up, Rachel down in Charlotte, and Don Clark's here in Statesville. Lee Troutman and Paul Rodriguez. And I already said, hey. Oh, it's Issy Odell. She says, "Hey, hi, Ham's listeners. So sorry to hear about Larry. He was the best of a best human being." Very good. All right. So what would you say is your favorite track that you race at?
What is my favorite track?
And we can come back to that if you'd like. Because I was going to talk about my experience with motorcycles down in Daytona. They raced them on the beaches down there, like Ormond Beach. Have you been down there and seen like the monuments and walked around and done all that stuff? Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a neat thing to see. And they have old pictures of the motorcycles and them racing them on the beach. Is that something you would do?
I'd probably try it. I mean, absolutely. I spent a lot of time in Milwaukee and, the roots of motorcycle, Harley up there. So, there's different things that I am attracted to, I guess I should say. One of the other racing categories that I admire immensely is flat track.
Okay.
Flat track racing. I think brave souls and just amazed at their talent. But
Yeah. All right. So when you say flat track, are you talking about like Indianapolis, tracks like this? Are you talking about motorcycles? Or are you talking about
motorcycles? Yeah.
And and have you seen the ones that race on the ice?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, living in Wisconsin, I've seen a few of those. So.
Okay. See, go ahead, Tracy.
I was going to say, Dickie Dennis wants to know if you've ever raced at Virginia Motor Sports Park.
I have.
There you go, Dickie. She has.
Yeah, he's up there.
I might have met him if he's been out there. It was back in 13, 14, I think we had our NHRA events up there. We were running the divisional and regional offerings that they had our class involved in.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, Mike Bear says he's in Rhode Island. So where did you say you were from again?
Wisconsin.
Okay. That's what I thought. Wisconsin.
Well, I've lived a couple different places. So
Okay.
born and raised out of Oregon. So.
Oh, in Oregon. That's way out there.
I left there in 87. Let's just put it that way. Just to be clear.
Yeah. Did you know Carl Wagner? Carl Wagner. He built a lot of the V6 engines for NASCAR for many years. I worked for him for 1 year, but he was from up there in the Wisconsin. Yeah. So Chad Hyder's in Ohio. He says, "My dad ran flat track bikes back in the day. Broke a leg, LOL. Went drag racing instead."
Well, that was a better choice, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd say, like I mentioned earlier, anything before. So this picture we were looking at earlier. So are these your sponsors, or are these sponsors from the track?
Those are sponsors from the track.
Okay.
We have a few, but yeah.
Yeah, you can mention your sponsors, though. We want to talk about them and your coffee.
Yeah.
We don't want to forget that.
Well, so the coffee, Vital Brew Coffee Company is a brainchild of a friend that I met through networking on LinkedIn, and which led to, a sponsorship agreement when I was racing last year. So we've been working together for about a year now, and as we expanded in our relationship and he knew the desires to move into the top Fuel Harley category, he got interested, and we have since launched a coffee company where not only am I part owner of it, but I am also the brand ambassador of the 200 mile per hour brew.
All right.
So it's high octane.
Yeah. Yeah. I love my coffee in the mornings. I got to have coffee first thing in the morning.
Strong as can be.
Yeah, I make it strong. So this is 200 mile an hour brew, as you mentioned, with branched chain amino acids, and it's called Vital Brew. And they have, you gave me a sheet that had all this right here. I'll read that in just a minute.
Okay.
But it's so you have a quote on the bottom that says, "If you believed anything were possible, what would your life look like?" Which I like that. That's very cool.
Well, one of the things that people know about me, and I'll just put it out there, love about me, is I'm not all about me. I'm about trying to save the world, kind of, but not really. But I genuinely care about others, and it's important to me to, in what I do, that I inspire others, and they see opportunity through maybe my story or my experience. Again, facing tragedy at the age of 6, and I've had a great life, but I reflect back some days, what would it have been like, but I've keep putting one foot in front of the other, no matter what obstacles are being put in front of me. And that was just, kind of a unique little add to the bag that, hey, if somebody happens to flip it over, they see, and then, our next blend, I'll probably have something a little different there. But, again, I like to connect with folks, mentor a few along the way, and, make new friends.
I'm sure growing up and losing your dad like that and all, whenever somebody would complain about things are not going their way, they're having a bad hair day or whatever, I'm sure there was a lot of times where you were like, listen, things could always be worse. And let me tell you a story, and stuff. And that's kind of when it started, probably, I'm sure, when you were just a little kid and you going through those tough times. Sometimes that's what builds character and makes you that much stronger.
I couldn't agree with you more.
See, Rachel says, please ask Janette what thoughts go in her mind right before she races her competitor. What a great question.
Well, I look at, the class that I'm running in, I'm typically the only female out there. Right now, there's one other gal that's run carbureted bikes, which is what I started on the carbureted nitromethane. But I'm the only one licensed in this category. So I look at the other competitor as just another body over there with the same goal, and that's to get to the finish line first. Yeah. But, sure. I'm a woman of faith, and so I always take my moment to, speak to my God and get my little prayer out there and, give it all I got. Each and every pass, for those that are not familiar with these machines, nitromethane is a combustible fuel, and it explodes when it doesn't burn. So it's critical of the crew to get it right, and for me to get it right when the motorcycle isn't operating correctly, which doesn't happen all the time, but it can. Track conditions vary and everything. But if you don't burn that fuel, you got to get out of the throttle and ensure that you're not creating an explosion.
Right, yeah. All the extra fuels is just coming out raw, and then it could ignite when it hits the exhaust or whatever. And, that's not good. Scott Treverson says, that's my comment. That's all I got to say about that. That's like, move on. Scott Treverson says, did you ever meet Sterling Marlin? That's pretty much his standard answer. Question every week. Did you ever meet Sterling Marlin? No, because we worked with Sterling for so many years. Well, he worked with him for more years than I did on the old Coors team. But
well, and again, I'm not that I'm proud of it, because I admire people that have been racing all along, but my husband spent 25 years in the NASCAR world, and I have yet to be to a race.
Oh.
So I had no other reason than it's just the opportunity hasn't presented itself. So
Yeah, well, you might, if you go, you might get hooked. That's what happens a lot of times. People are like, I don't want to go watch people drive around in circles. And then they go and they're like, oh my gosh, that was the best thing ever, almost, you know? Yeah. So have you ever met any other NASCAR drivers or any period?
You know, I guess what we've crossed a few paths with, you know, Kyle Petty. We've, you know, toured the museum, Petty Museum. So, I guess you could classify, you know, Richard as one of those, but again, never at the track. You know, Rusty Wallace and Mike, what's his name? Yeah,
Yep. Michael Waltrip?
Michael Waltrip.
Okay,
sorry.
yeah.
But
Well,
we've gone to PRI a couple times, you know, and we've run into some of the drivers there as well. But again, never been to the racetrack where there's been any events. So.
Right. Very cool.
And Donnie Allison. I
Oh,
mean, he's one of our favorites. We actually got to ride some miles on the Harleys together with Donnie.
Very cool. Yeah, Donnie, he comes up to Tilly's every once in a while. And so does Kyle. You know, that's probably where you saw him last. I think that's where I saw him last. But he gave me this shirt 2 years ago. This is one that's got the motorcycle on it. I thought it was appropriate to wear. But it's got his face, right there, like Evel Knievel.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I was his Jackman back in '96, and then I traveled in half of '95 with that race team for Kyle. So you know Terry Levan,
Yep.
I'm assuming. And did you know Don Tilley?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Robinette.
Absolutely. Good people. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they sure were the best. And but yeah, the Tilley's thing is actually coming up. I think they're doing that pretty soon.
October 3rd.
Okay. You going to be there?
We have an event scheduled that weekend. So if the event holds, then unfortunately we will not make the ride. But we're really anxious to get on the track as a competitor. So.
Oh yeah, very cool. So what's up, Sissy Odell? She said she was riding by WAME now, blowing the horn. Which, I don't know if you want to do that tonight.
So there's a good question. It says, what's the typical speed ranges of motorcycle drag racing?
So depending on the class, there's several motorcycle classes that exist. Not all are on the NHRA platform, but we have a couple other sanctioning bodies that you know, hold classes. So there's gas classes that you can run a regular street bike. There's also some the Manufacturers Cup runs some of the Hayabusas and other, you know, they got no bar classes. So there's such a variable, you know. Some you shift, actually, like a street bike you shift, and then others you air shift, and then others, like my bike, it has a centrifugal clutch that it is all on or all off, basically. So, and there's no, you know, hand shifting or foot shifting involved. So the class of motorcycle that I'm currently on, I'm going to be running probably 205, 210 on a quarter mile, and you know, running hopefully mid sixes, you know, 650s, 660s. You know, when I get, you know, worked in a little bit and a little more seat time. So the this year's been interesting because it's, you know, the tracks haven't been open for testing, and it's kind of been a little bit of a setback, but we're getting in the groove. So
you got to be honest about this. Whenever you're riding by those gasoline motorcycles, do you just look at them and kind of laugh like, haha, I'm a nitromethane girl over here. We go fast.
Nope, I don't hold any prejudice. I love it. You know, I love it all, and I have respect for everyone because, again, it's you know, nitromethane is not for everyone, and drag racing is not for everyone, and you know, street bike riding is not for everyone. You know, it's just it's just all in how you want to absorb life and do life.
Yeah. So I guess Tori Searlock, sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, was correct. She says she is modest. She is truly amazing. How about that?
Tori's awesome. She's She's a good gal. A new friend that is probably going to be with following my journey and involved in our journey as we, grow the Vital Brew Coffee Company, because we do distribute it right here in Statesville. It is, roasted in the U.S., but Statesville will be the home of Vital Brew Coffee Company.
Oh, very cool.
Now, one of the listeners did ask if it come in K-Cups.
Right now, we are not offering K-Cups. We are excited to have our one blend,
Exactly.
but really anxious to expand our offerings as quickly as we can. We know that, some people need decaf, and some people don't really care for that strong, bold taste, that this blend was made with. So our goal, my goal, is just for this to take off quickly, and we are able to add those offerings, hopefully, early, 2021.
Yeah, the weaker blend ones are probably the gasoline motorcycle people. So,
So is that what I should name
Yes.
the blend?
Yeah.
Is,
Well, I always say high octane for mine. Like, I like my coffee strong, high octane. Yeah, the 200 mile an hour brew is the Vital Brew launches its first blend. It's Arabica. I always get this word wrong. Arabica. I said it right for once. All right. A dark roast infused with branch chain amino acids, specifically prepared for our adrenaline chaser and health-minded person. So you can go to the gym and then drink you some coffee and rebuild them muscles. So, and on Instagram you have at Vital Brew Coffee, it's VITAL, and on Facebook it's Vital Brew Coffee, and on LinkedIn, Vital Brew Coffee. I like LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn account, and I think it's a great thing. It's more of a unlike Facebook, there's not a lot of drama on there. It's just like more serious for business, like a business profile kind of for, but it's a lot of good networking.
Yep.
That's from what I've found. So we had a question. Did you want to read a question, Tracy?
Keep talking.
Okay. I got to see. She said, all right. So Mike Bear says, I got to see some of these cool NHRA bikes up close when I went to the races at New England Dragway a few years ago. Watched them tuning on them in between races. I found the bikes very fun to watch. Very cool.
Most of them will carry the front tire darn near the full quarter mile, but oftentimes to the 1,000-foot if they got the tune right.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking what's the funniest moment you've had.
Funniest moment?
That's what it says. Funniest moment.
Just generally funniest, or at the track
International
funniest?
Event. Funniest moment in a national event.
Oh, Well, I wasn't in competition this year, but one of the funniest ones I remember is being at Las Vegas drag strip with another motorcycle team, and it wasn't in the nitromethane field, but it was actually Matt and Angie Smith from up the road here in North Carolina, and they always have that event on Halloween weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I say always, but usually.
Yeah.
But one of the funniest things I ever saw Matt was in a dinosaur outfit riding his motorcycle up to the staging lanes, and I actually have it on video, and the head was just kind of like going back, and he was just like as focused as can be, with his clear, because he could see through it, but the head was just, and I know I in the film, the video that I took, you could hear me busting out laughing, but
that would be me, and that would be the only way I would be riding one.
Usually if we're laughing, it's because we've had a good cry, and that's usually because we broke something. So there's not a lot of funny with nitromethane, I don't think.
Right. I'll show people my T-shirt because it's kind of funny. It's got Kyle's face on it. All right. Had to do it. Yeah, there you go. You can see it right here. All right. So let's see who else we got here. Rachel, she says some would find it hard Hard to believe in God after a horrible personal tragedy like the loss of your dad. What influenced you to have faith in God? That's a tough one there, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, just
actually, somebody that's still actually in my mom and I's life. You know, I mentioned I grew up in Oregon, and I still have some roots in my hometown with family and such. But I remember, you know, as a young child, still, you know, going to church, you know, with this gal and her husband, and I don't know, you know, I think good roots, you know, just genuinely good roots, and that's a whoa, that's a tough question.
good, strong faith, a base, good base of a strong faith.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Don't get me wrong. I've done a lot of things I regret,
sure.
and I'm not, you know, that I'm not proud of. But you know, I was fortunate enough that I got reintroduced to a good group of folks in my, you know, mid-20s that, you know, went to a biker church, and you know, we worshiped and we rode, and you know, and I've taken the path where, you know, occasionally I you know, I'm not as strong as I could be, but what I have found is, you know, life is so full of curveballs that if you can't, you know, dig deep and let go of some of those things you have no control of,
sure.
And you know, and that's, I guess that's what I attribute faith to, you know, is my being able to release to when I talk to myself and when I talk to God, you know.
Right, sure.
But I feel so much healthier by just saying I can't change it, you know. And what I say, you know, like this weekend, and I posted something on my Facebook page that this weekend is the second year in a row that I had targeted going to the U.S. Nationals to debut on a Top Fuel Harley, in the Top Fuel Harley category. And that's immensely disappointing, you know, but I believe that there's a reason.
Right.
And some people are just like, oh, that's just, you know, talk, whatever. But in scenarios that I can reflect back on in life, and that I have chose to continue to work forward, I look back and realize that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Maybe not the best thing, but I mean,
just for your benefit.
Thanks.
It worked out. And at the time, I might have felt feelings, you know, but I do a lot of, not to get too deep on y'all, but I mean, I spent a lot of times in counseling sessions trying to figure out why I did what I did, you know, especially when I was a young adult, you know, and I don't even know where I was going with that.
Well, I think just getting it out, just talking about things and getting it out to, whether it's to God or to other people, it gets it out. It's just like gets it out of your system, so you don't have to hold it in, and it just, you know, as they say, eat you alive kind of thing. You know, I get what you're saying. I totally get it, and that makes a great sense. Billy Buck says, "Hey, Janette." Billy Buck says,
Billy Buck.
Hey.
Hey, Billy Buck.
And I was thanking Billy Buck earlier for letting us use this studio. It's a great place, and we got the stage and all that stuff. So if you want to get up and sing a song, we're all set up for you.
I can tell you, I can do a lot of things, and singing ain't one of them.
Oh, it's not? Okay. Oh, well. I got a harmonica. Can you play harmonica?
I can ride circles. I can outride a lot of people, but singing ain't one of the things I'm talented with.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you can tune in to Billy Buck in the Morning Show from 6 to 10 every morning on WAMEradio.com, or on, if you're local, 550 AM and 92.9 FM.
Yeah.
And check them out on Facebook. Give them a like if you like. So Sissy Odell, Scott Trevisan down in Florida, he says, amen. Rachel Rodman's Hey, Billy. Tommy Foss, what's up? Tommy says something about gasolines for washing parts, right? You said that earlier. Yeah. All right. So we'll get off the gasoline thing and picking at those people. So Sissy says, did she say what city in Oregon? All right. So I guess we're asking you what city you lived in till you were 7. Did you say something like that?
Well, so I was born pretty much, I was born in McMinnville, Oregon, and pretty much, raised in McMinnville. Prior to my father being killed, we had lived in Newburgh, Oregon, which was basically like like Mooresville is to Statesville-ish.
Okay.
And I graduated high school out there.
Okay.
1985. Yes, do the math.
All right.
I am going to be 53 in a few short weeks.
Oh.
And I'm proud of it because I had some great genes. My grandfather lived to be, I think 95.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I had one that lived to be 50, so I don't know, and one that was 26. 25. So anyway, that's another story. So R.W. Wascom,
Yeah.
is that right? Says next year will be an awesome year for Janette.
Yes, it will. For all of us.
And Sissy had family in Bend. Does that sound right?
Oh, yeah. So Bend was actually part of my territory when I was, as I was a district rep for Harley Davidson Motor Company. I worked there for 16 years, which is my connection to Wisconsin. And when I had the West Coast area, Bend, Oregon, beautiful. And I've got a cousin that actually still lives in Bend.
Okay.
So love the dealer out there, Wild Horse Harley Davidson. Shout out to them. Great people. If you're ever out in the area, check them out.
Oh yeah, because isn't no, that's somewhere else. I was gonna say the Sturgis thing, but isn't that
South Dakota?
South Dakota. Yeah, that's why I didn't say it, but then I said it anyway. So, so she says also that Texas says howdy, Janette. R.W. Wascom. And Rachel says, thank you that was inspirational about faith and accepting God's purpose. And Jake McVie says, I seen Bubba Blackwell. Or are you a daredevil, LOL? I'm not sure who that is.
Bubba Blackwell is a stunt rider. Actually, I know him personally.
Oh.
He used to do a lot of shows with a lot of the Harley Davidson dealers. So again, the connection. But he still does shows. So anybody who's curious and needs some entertainment, he's a great entertainer. Look him up.
So we were talking about Evel Knievel earlier. Is he kind of like the Evel Knievel of our time?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah, he puts on some stunt show, and he also does some jumps. Yeah, It's been years since I've seen him. Gosh, probably 15, I think. But
okay.
I mean, I've seen him, but not the stunt show part. I've seen him at a race before. So.
Yeah, I got you. Jake says I seen him at Harley in Gettysburg. And Dickie Dennis, the fence climber in Virginia. Yes, that's how I know how to introduce him as the fence climber. I had the sheriff in here last week, and we were talking about Dickie Dennis and being the fence climber and stuff. He thought that was pretty funny, though. So he says, looking forward to meeting you at VMP. Haven't missed a national event since it opened in 1996. Love the NHRA.
Yeah, I hope they have our class up there. That would be awesome. Yep.
Very cool. So what's the furthest away you've been to the tracks? I guess maybe Pomona or.
Yeah, so racing out of North Carolina here, we have taken the show all the way to Sonoma and also to Seattle, both of which were NHRA events. We did some I don't want to say non-sanctioned, but Woodburn, Oregon, which is actually like 30 minutes from home. We did a couple events there as well, which very beautiful track, and it's good air there. So when I was, riding the carbureted bike was really key to have good air. You can go really fast.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Faster than usual.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if it's cooler. So does it really rain all the time out there? I've never been to Washington.
It's It can rain a lot, yes. And the way I describe it is there's a lot of gray. It just seems, more dreary than normal. But it's also very beautiful. It has some great seasons, that come with the, climate. And the humidity is nothing like it is here.
Yeah.
You'll have some days, that you're like, oh, it's sultry. That was the word my mom always used was, oh, it's sultry today,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, you don't know what that is until
Right. I know. That's one of the things I've spent some time in California with NASCAR, of course, but it was never, it might be hot, but it wasn't nothing like the humidity that we have here. But I would say one of the hottest places I've been to was St. Louis, Missouri. It was so humid and so hot there. So Rachel asks, are there any drivers who influenced you or were helpful as you gained experience racing?
So thank you for that question. Actually, the gentleman who helped mentor me and get me started was Ray Price. And Ray Price Harley Davidson once resided in Raleigh, North Carolina. He has since passed. He and his wife, Miss Jean, were involved in the dealership ownership and drag racing for 30 plus years. I forget how many years he owned the dealership, but he was very instrumental in drag racing in itself. And then he was, so my Harley days took me to his dealership. So I got to hang out with he and his wife one weekend when I was actually starting up their Learn to Ride program. And he was the one that I met, actually saw on the West Coast that got me interested in, like, hey, this is kind of a cool sport. And then I just started following his team. And then when I being in California, it was a long way to go to race. Most of the events were east of the Mississippi. And so Mr. Price and his wife agreed to help me, keep my bike out here and just let me fly in. And his crew kind of helped me. And
so when you say Ray Price, I hear for the good times. Right, Tommy? All right, so we got Kiki and Giggles in here also. Did you get your picture taking, or did Giggles get his picture taken with you?
He most certainly did.
Or the other way around, whichever. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because she's getting close to, how many thousands now, Kiki? Right. 1,009. Okay, 1,948 or something like that. So you're getting close to 2,000 pictures with Giggles the parrot. Very cool.
Yeah, cool 40-year-old parrot that is, right?
Right, exactly, yes. All right, so what's up, Barbie? Tuned in. And Barbie says RW Wascom. So Barbie the Welder, do you know Barbie the Welder?
Barbie the Welder, you need to look her up on LinkedIn.
Oh.
She's also on social media.
Okay.
She is, I would classify her and I as, very similar, in a man's world and, making a go at it. Mm-hmm. It's, not that we're trying to be out there being Billy Badass, but, just doing what's been put on our hearts. And she's a beautiful artist, with her welding and making sculptures and stuff. And we met on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And, we are moving into a, really cool direction with her. And, you're going to see her face out here with us in Vital Brew.
It's funny you're using the same words she said. She said, "Hello, you beautiful bad A double star faces."
Yeah. It's fun to, I'm not. I like to see women, chase their dreams and feel empowered and empower each other. Mm-hmm. And it's not about making it a statement other than I think we deserve to, be engaged in life as deep and as far as we want to go with it.
Yeah. Why not?
So
Nothing to hold you back. Just
That's
go
right.
for it. Yep. So she said, "Thank you so much, Barbie the welder." Yep. And then Mike Bear says, some of my family live in Colorado, and I've been to the Mile High Raceway. I was wondering if you had a chance, if you had to change things around with the motorcycle due to the high elevation. Yes, I definitely, with the carburation especially, but
yeah. We had the opportunity to race out there probably in 2013 or so. I think scheduling conflicts kept us from there, but yes, it would definitely change the way we tune, and you just don't expect to go quite as quick.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's 14,110 feet at Pikes Peak. I know that. So yes. So I mean, that's what, 3 miles? Yeah, pretty much close to 3 miles. So yeah, and it actually the air gets a lot thinner. Like when you're walking around, you can tell the air is thinner.
oh yeah, we had a women's event up there, motorcycling event, and you walk from the parking lot to the convention center, or I forget where it was, but you really had to be careful if you weren't in shape, that it could really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom and my grandma visited, and they got nosebleeds.
Yep.
Pressure change.
Happens. This is off the subject, but I'm just kind of curious about it because I'm always kind of curious about what was your first job, and like first job, second job, and did you ever? I'm sure you probably never saw yourself being a motorcycle drag racer. But,
Yeah.
Mine was working at Carowinds, amusement park.
I remember in high school, there was a couple burger joints that were right there around the campus, and taking on part-time, job at Arctic Circle is what it was called. And then I think my first, kind of real job after high school I was in a pizza joint, but I was in the corporate office. So I did a lot of office type work in my career.
Oh, okay. And so you're like, you know what? I'm going to trade in the office for the motorcycle.
Well, it certainly fared well, for me. My story with my riding, it was I was working at an engineering firm in Maryland, and my boss at the time had turned 50, which is really hard to believe. Like when I reflect back, and I'm going,
you're like, they're old.
oh my gosh, I've been riding for 25 years. But he was turning 50 at the time, and he's like, I'm going to buy a motorcycle again. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, Jessie. And that was his daughter's name. She's old enough that not like if something happens to me, but it was like you consciously, think about those things. And I was like, wow, I'm like, I think that sounds cool. I want to ride a motorcycle. So again, not really a follower. So by the end of the day, I was on the phone, called the Motorcycle Safety Foundation folks, or the local, state administrator, got enrolled in school, and couple weeks later, I was out there on the course taking the class. Didn't know a soul.
Yeah.
I didn't know a soul. But it led me to teaching motorcycle safety. A couple years later, after I got my license, after I had been riding a couple years, I started teaching motorcycle safety, which in turn led me to my 16-year career at Harley Davidson. So
would you say your boss was the influence for you riding a motorcycle?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I again, it wasn't that I was against it, but I hadn't been exposed to it in growing up, in different things. The people I hung with, and my uncles were very much into sports. They didn't, do a lot, weren't active that way. And so I was like, dang, that sounds cool. So.
Well, how did you run into this guy, Buddy? Or Buddy?
I don't know that I ran into him. I think we called him one night or some crazy happen chance, but.
Oh, okay. How long y'all been together?
This is what do I say, season? We've been together 8 years.
8 years, okay.
Yep.
Does he know your anniversary?
Yeah, we'll be, our anniversary is coming up at the end of this month.
All right.
We forget which day it is, but
Mine's easy to remember because you just say, working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Yes.
You're so brilliant.
I know, right? That's good, isn't it? Because I'm telling you, I'll just be honest with you. I started to say, somebody asked me that question, and she was standing there, and I said, ours is September the 4th, and she started giving me a look. I said, 5th, because I know it was the 4th or the 5th. So, yes. So now I know for sure. She just told me that way of remembering it. Yes. So thank you for that, Tracy.
Of course.
Appreciate you always.
I can tell.
All right. So do you have any parting words?
I do have questions.
Yes, go for it.
My question was, what about a motorcycle made you more interested than racing a stock car? Say, I know you like the speed, of course, but what drove you towards wanting a motorcycle versus getting in a four-wheeled vehicle?
Just the,
Really?
I would say just the influencers, the being involved, being a street bike rider and being involved that way, that in the crowd that I was keeping, I guess, at the time, we went to the drag strip and we watched the all Harley drags. I mean, that was a natural fit. And, so it just, I never even thought about, drag racing a car. Not saying I wouldn't, but.
Right. Yeah. And Barbie, the welder, I thought maybe she was asking someone else this question, but she said, do you ride motorcycle for fun? And then she also says, how did you get past the fear of racing?
I don't know that I really got past the fear of racing. I mean, there's a, I shouldn't say fear. I'm not fearful, but, it's one of those things where as with most things that you learn, that when it becomes more second nature, then you're able to let your muscle memory take over a lot of what you're doing. But then you still have that respect for what the vehicle, and, so I get nervous, but I'm not really fearful. So I think it was really just time. Because I remember when I was watching Ray, I never watched Ray race. When Ray and I met, he had had a bad accident racing, which took his left arm was not mobile, and so, but he had a rider. He still wanted his race team, and he had a rider. And I remember asking his rider, you seem so calm. How do you do that? And I'm just like, thinking like I gotta throw up, and other things happening in my body, and it's like, but now it's to where I feel I'm more controlled, because again, I trust my husband, who's my crew chief. I know, I've had enough seat time and experience that a lot of it's second nature, so. And yes, I ride a street bike. I love riding my street bike. I love mentoring women. I actually got a new rider out of Tennessee that she's trying to get her license, and I'm involved in a bunch of Facebook groups with women riders, and it's just a cool thing. It's just a great extended family, whether it's male or female.
Sure.
We've met some beautiful people.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So Dickie Dennis is asking, what is your fastest pass so far?
As I stated early in the show, my licensing passed for the Top Fuel Harley license. So we made 2 runs that one came in at 6.96 seconds in the quarter mile, and the other was 6.93 seconds. And we were running 197 and 196, I think, mile per hour.
Wow. That's, yeah. As I mentioned earlier in the show, that's a lot of speed for 2 wheels, 100 mile an hour per wheel.
That is crazy.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you want to mention anything else, go for it, because we can find you on your Facebook page.
Yeah. So The easiest way to follow me is my social media is Janette, and it's Janette Thornley, Thornley. On Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. VitalBrewCoffee.com. We our online purchase right now. We do have one health food store out of Texas that's joined in distributing our coffee, but we would welcome additional distributors. But right now, again, online coffee sales. Visit us. I have a promo code if you're interested in trying our coffee. It's TFH272, gives you 10% off your purchase. So if you enter that code, it's TFH, so that's Top Fuel Harley 272. When you see me on competition, that's what you'll see my number. Again, I'll get you 10% off. But
all right. And you got to email us VB Pit Pass. That's at Vital Brew. VB Pit Pass at vitalbrew.net.
Yeah.
That's the email. So there you go. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me tonight. And it's been a real pleasure seeing you again. And hopefully I'll see you again pretty soon. Maybe whenever everything opens back up, we can get back over to Tilly Harley Davidson and help them with their open house and all that kind of stuff. Once again, in time. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Go to my website, DHammiam.com. You can see all my social links there. I don't have to say them all one at a time anymore because they're all on my website, DHammiam.com. That's right. It's easier that way,
Yeah.
And it's as well as DHammiam on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. But thanks everybody so much for tuning in. And if you want to go after this video is stopped, and you can ask any questions, and we'll get to you. And if Janette's, I can always send her a message and have her go on there and answer them as well. But I get notifications on my YouTube. So if you got any more questions that you think of that you couldn't get to during the show, just hit me up there, as the youngins say these days. Hit me up. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
you. And we'll see y'all next Monday.